If you're a big swim team and you like to order a lot of gear, maybe you ought to check out Swim Outlet Team Division for these reasons. Swim teams receive a 10% discount on bulk orders. Swim teams or organizations get an 8% commission on referred sales. You'll also like their customization services, which is affordable and available at all times during the year for all team gear. With over 50,000 items in stock, you can get most anything you want. Swim Outlet Team Division. You need to try it out. You'll be glad you did.
This is the Morning Swim Show for Monday, January 7th, 2013. I'm your host, Jeff Cummings. Lindenwood University's men's and women's swim teams have a new coach on deck, and Jason Owen is bringing some impressive coaching credentials with him as he helps guide the Lions through their final year transition into Division II competition. And Jason Owen joins us now in the Finis Monitor from St. Peters, Missouri. Jason, good to see you. Happy New Year.
You too.
So I grew up in the area where Lindenwood is, in the St. Louis metropolitan area, so I know that it's pretty cold there.
It is. It was in the teens last night, highs in the 20s, so we're trying to hunker down and train hard, even though, we're not in the warmest of destinations right now.
You didn't take them anywhere for holiday training?
Well, no, it's definitely one of my goals in future seasons to do that, but I came on board in July this past summer, and there wasn't really enough time to put together a trip, but that's something we're planning for next season.
Well, this is your first head coaching position, not just at Lindenwood, but just entirely your first head coaching position. How does it feel to be the man at the top of the ladder?
Well, there definitely are a lot of pluses. It's good to be able to make an impact on the group as a whole. I was specializing in coaching the distance swimmers previously where I was, and although I did get to coach that group entirely myself, it's nice to be able to reach across the groups and have more of an impact. It's also nice to, just have more discretion to do things the way that you want. And that's been a lot of pluses, and in some cases, sometimes it's more complicated, but that just goes with the territory.
Yeah, I would imagine, like you said, you were coaching the distance swimmers when you were at Drury. Was there any kind of a learning curve for you when you realized, okay, I've got to reacquaint myself with sprinters, with the middle distance freestylers, and the stroke swimmers?
A little bit. The fact that I was a senior club coach as well, when I was coaching with Drury, I did get to coach all of the club kids from all the different groups. The biggest difference was to try to utilize the coaching staff effectively, other than myself, and to try to place the coaches in the best positions to coach the team. So that's really been where the transition has been, more in actually what we do with the coaches rather than what I'm doing with the athletes.
Now, you must really like Missouri. You grew up in Cape Girardeau, which is in the southeastern corner of the state. As I said, you coach at Drury, and you also swam at Drury, which is in Springfield on the southwestern side of the state. Now you're in the St. Louis area. Is there any particular reason you've chosen to stay in Missouri?
Well, I guess it's not necessarily on purpose, but I haven't felt the desire to leave either. I did enjoy growing up in southeast Missouri. I think it was a great place for me to grow up. Missouri is a good place to raise a family, and when I was looking at schools, I was lucky enough to find a very good school at Drury where I could swim and be competitive at a national level, and I didn't really have to go very far. So, that's kind of how I ended up there, and I never saw a reason to leave there because I really loved the opportunities that came my way to coach shortly after school, and it was a very similar scenario with the Lindenwood position. I had heard for years that they were going to be transitioning to Division II, and it just happened that when they did, the job came open. And, I had enough experience under my belt that I thought I was ready to take on a new task. And I do have family in the area, and St. Louis is a wonderful area to recruit from. And so it just seemed like a really good fit, and I didn't have to go far away to have that opportunity.
As you said, Lindenwood is going through the last year of its transition into Division II. What does that mean specifically this season for the swim team?
Well, it's actually been a challenge because, for the upperclassmen, they've gone the last couple of years without being able to go to a national championship, and they also will not be able to go this year. So the biggest, I guess, heartbreaker is for our seniors this year, because we're definitely trying to make this transition and emphasize the things that it's going to take to compete at the Division II level. And for some of the seniors that have really gotten on board and bought into it, they still won't be able to go to the Nationals. So their satisfaction comes in helping us to establish a way of doing things that will get us competitive in future years. Our collegiate season will end with our conference meet February 7th through the 10th in Rochester, Minnesota at the Northern Sun Conference meet. And then we are going to take a group of kids to a sectional meet in March just to keep them engaged and to give them a chance to stay focused on training and do a long course meet to kind of supplement for the national championships this year.
Yeah, it definitely must be tough on those seniors knowing they came into Lindenwood not being able to compete at nationals, and they're going to leave not being able to compete there. Is there anything differently that you've had to do as a coach to kind of get them ready, especially since you've been at Drury, where every year you know that you've got the NCAAs, and this year knowing that the season ends at conference?
Yes, the biggest transition that we had to make was actually with practice scheduling, because we do rent a facility currently, and there are plans to build an aquatic facility hopefully within the next 2 years on campus, but you know how those things go. When there's actually a date set, then you'll believe it, and then only when it's finished. So we actually kind of overhauled the practice schedule to try to get more time in the pool. Since we share a pool with high schools and clubs, the best time for us to utilize the pool is in the morning after school starts for high schools. And so we've been training every single morning at 7 o'clock, and they were accustomed to swimming in the middle of the day from 1 to 3. And we moved to the morning and then also picked up some evening practices, and overall have been putting more time in the water. If there's anything good about the transition and not being able to go to nationals, is that we can completely focus on the philosophy of training, and we can give it a full season to take effect. So we've really been focusing on just getting the kids in the water, getting them to practice, getting them to train with a long-term mentality, which, since we don't have the short-term motivation this season as much as we will in future seasons, it allows us to really focus on just laying the framework for the future.
Now, last November, you got to take the team over to Drury, your alma mater, and swim against them in a dual meet. What was it like going back to Springfield?
Well, it was interesting. You know, we had actually seen them at the Show Me Showdown at Mizzou, the very first meet of the season, as well as Mizzou and other competitive teams. And we actually ended up seeing them 4 times during the season. We were at the Show Me Showdown, we went for a dual meet, then we had a Drury invite 2 weeks later, and then they were at our Mizzou invite. And, you know, 2 things about running into Drury. Obviously, I'm very familiar with their program, so it's a unique experience for me to coach against them and to see those athletes from the other side of the pool. And then also to be coaching my athletes in that environment. But also just the fact that they are a premier D2 program that we hope to compete with. So just from that angle, getting to swim against them as many times as possible is a really good experience for our kids, so we can measure up kind of where we want to be in the future.
How many years do you think it's going to take for Lindenwood to be able to say that they can compete with a team like Drury?
Well, you know, my goal is kind of a 3-year plan. Obviously, if that stretches into 5 years, I'll be fine with that. Things don't always happen as quickly as you might want them to. But the thing that's going to help us move quickly is that the resources of the university are competitive with scholarships and budgets. We do have the resources to be competitive. So it's just going to be a matter of getting the kids in here and then getting them motivated to push and try to outwork the other programs.
Tell us about some of the swimmers that we can watch next season in what will be Lindenwood's first official season as a Division II team.
Sure. Well, you know, as far as the athletes that are here now, we actually have a really good crop of boys that can probably make the Division II meet. We've got a Lithuanian swimmer named Ramūnas Paknis, who actually made his way onto the college swimming rankings on collegeswimming.com, because they're not officially done through the official rosters, and he was ranked as high as second in the 100 back. He was 49-1 and 148-2 at our winter invite. We had another breaststroker / freestyler, Rainis Rosensteins, who is from Latvia, and drop time was 56-1 in the 100 breast, and 140 in the 200 free. He doesn't even swim that event, so he's going to have to make some more drops. But some of these boys are going to have to be required to meet higher standards before they will meet higher standards, I think. We had another sprinter, Ivar Zakmentins, who has set our school record, 1500 freestyle, 20.4 and 45-1 in the 100. And our boys just need to be exposed to some 43-second 100 freestylers before some of them are going to step up and go 44, and get into that meet. So we've got another distance swimmer, Cody Friedhof, who will be a senior this coming year, and he was 433 in the 500 and 140 in the 200, and he needs to drop down to the 430, 138 kind of level by the end of the year to be able to get into that meet next year. But those are kind of some of the guys that we already have on the roster that can make it. We've got several recruits coming in. The list is long. We've got 5 or 6 boys that already have national level cuts that are joining us, some in January and some in August. On the girls' side, we've got actually some really good seniors that have had great years, but sadly won't be able to make the NCAAs, but they're going to set the bar high for times and team records at the end of the year. And we have a very bright freshman class. Audra Thornton is a girl out of Michigan that came in with, times of 52 and 152 in the freestyles and 207 in the IMs. And she had a good first semester, and we look for her to be one of the girls that can make it. Our senior team captain, Story Kramer, was 105.9 in the 100 breast at our winter invite, and has been improving every year. So we look for her to drop down to maybe 104 at year's end and have a chance to make it next year. But, for a lot of these kids, the sky's the limit, because some of the things we're doing are so different than what they have done. So we kind of have to look at it like an open book.
And you've been involved in Division II for many years as a swimmer and as a coach. What makes Division II swimming such a special place to be a part of?
Well, I think the reason I enjoy it so much is the same reason I enjoyed participating in it myself. It gave me an opportunity, and a lot of swimmers an opportunity, to get into a national competition early in their college career, and for that to be a part of their swimming. And certainly there are people, that are talented enough for that to happen at Division I. But I think when it comes down to making that decision of which way to go for some of the kids that are right on the fence, I was able to get into the national meet as a freshman. And that really, I guess, got me motivated, got me charged, and really determined how my career went through 4 years. And to put that pressure on people, and to put that, motivation on people to get there early and to try to have a 4-year career at the national championships is really exciting. And the exciting thing that's happened in the last few years is that it's gotten much harder to get into the meet, and also the top level competition at the meet has increased. You're seeing 2 and 3 and 4 people in some events that could score points at the D1 meet, that are swimming at the D2 meet, where it used to be maybe you'd have a rogue swimmer. Back when I swam, there was a swimmer named Ben Michelson who was ranked as high as 3rd, in the country in the 100 fly out of Division II. And now you're seeing more athletes at that level. And so it's getting harder for an athlete to outgrow the Division II and get to where there's not a level of competition for them.
Well, we can tell it really does. You really like Division II. It's probably a good reason why you chose to stay with it, Coach. Thanks so much for joining us today. Good luck with this final transition season, and we look forward to seeing Lindenwood at Nationals next year.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, so that's Jason Owen joining us in the Finis Monitor for today's edition of the Morning Swim Show. Thanks everyone for watching, and we remind you to check in at swimmingworld.com, Facebook, and Twitter for all the latest news. I'm Jeff Cummings. Thanks for watching.